What's going on, BenchWarmers? Welcome back. Oh, Marco, did I catch you off guard there?
That was pretty loud.
I know. I wanted to wake you up. I wanted to get the juices going. I wanted to get the blood pumping after a great weekend of footy action. We are back, not in the studio, from the comfort of our own homes, bringing you some awesome content from this weekend that was full of crazy ups and downs, but great results as always. As is a Premier League, never lets us down. I'm one of your hosts as always. I'm Erik, the instigator. We have Diego, the statro, and Marco, the interrupter. Hopefully, we'll have a surprise guest coming in a little bit later, but we won't let that. We won't spoil the beans on that. Before we get things started, Diego, where can you hear us?
You guys can catch us and all of our podcast episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts by searching BenchWarmers FC.
It's so seamless, you know. When I ask anybody else that I ask for a podcast, I get email addresses. If I ask for it's weird, man. Marco, where can they watch us?
They can watch us on YouTube at BenchWarmers FC TV.
Make sure you guys give us a follow, like, comment on our stuff. Let us know if you want to join on the banter on the bench. All at BenchWarmers FC1, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you want to email us, bench@benchwarmersfc.com. So now we got all the housekeeping out of the way. And before we get into all the weekend games that happened, how was your guys' weekend? How did you guys enjoy this? Today was a holiday, right?
Yeah, I found out that on Friday.
Yeah, I was so it wasn't a holiday for me.
I kind of forgot about it, bro. I lose track of the holidays. Like, the way that mine work, I sometimes take some, I sometimes don't. So I'm like, whatever. My boss told me on Friday that I was off on Monday, so I'm like, oh shit. If you would have told me, I was off today. If you would have told me, I would have been working.
That's damn, man. That's nice.
I mean, I think that's a nice surprise when you don't expect it, and then you're suddenly told, "Hey, you got a day off."
I mean, he was like, "Oh, I hope you guys have a nice long weekend." I'm like, "Long one? Like, it's 2 days." Like, no, you got 3. You got a Monday off. I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "It's President's Day. Like, we have it off." I'm like,
well, I could tell Marco was a kid in school that did his homework, and when the teacher asked everybody if anybody did the homework and nobody said no, Marco would be the only one. Be like, "Oh, teacher, the homework."
I got the homework.
No,
I got the homework, and screw everybody else over.
You see, that's where you're wrong, because I never did my homework.
I feel you on that. But Diego, how you been, bro? I feel like I haven't.
Chill. My weekend was chill. You know, watching the games, getting some movies. I watched Malcolm and Marie on Netflix, and it wasn't I think I expected too much. I'm not gonna ruin it for anybody that wants to see it, but for my taste, I think probably the expectation for a movie like that was a bit high. So I was a bit disappointed on it. But if anyone does have the interest to watch a movie like that, I would say definitely it's beautifully done because it's all in black and white. That's something that's very different. And some of the shots that they set up for that movie was they were pretty nice. Yes, Marco.
I do have a recommendation now that you're talking about movies.
Okay.
I just watched it this week. You have to go in with an open mind.
All right.
What's up? It's the movie.
Gay porn? Sorry.
No. It's hentai. I'm kidding. It's Derek Bilgadios, I think his last name is. It's called In and of Itself. He's kind of a magician. Kind of it does the realism stuff, bro. Yeah, open-minded. You have to be open-minded, and it will catch you off guard.
In and of itself.
It's on Hulu.
Well, all right. Staying in the same genre, not so much in the movies, but more on the TV show, and it's a little bit different. If you guys haven't had the chance, and anybody out there listening or watching this, and if you haven't had a chance to watch this, try to find it online. Ted Lasso, phenomenal.
Watched all of it. Hilarious
show.
So good.
The most American version I could see. The only way I could see Americans turning football into an entertaining show to watch, I guess, over here in the States. Because you had a American football coach coaching a football team, essentially. So
it's so good.
It's so good. If you can watch it, definitely watch it. I definitely recommend it. But awesome. I'm glad to hear that you guys had a great weekend. Now let's talk about some of the results that happened this weekend. I know some of them haven't been too good for some teams. Some were a lot better for others. Let's kick it off. Let's go in reverse order this time around because we want to save, some of the games for last. Hopefully we get a surprise guest coming in. If not, we'll still go over it. First off, we have is Chelsea versus Newcastle, where I think the biggest takeaway is Timo Werner scoring.
The end is near. The end is near.
So we see it now. We see the possibilities of what Timo Werner can do. Do you guys think Tuchel was probably the best thing that could happen to Chelsea right now? And are you worried?
I'm gonna take this first. I think it's fair to say that most teams would be worried. I personally am worried because they have 5 wins in a row. They've conceded 1 goal, which was an own goal at that. And I think the bottom line is that it shows the chasm of difference between a rookie manager, not saying that's a bad thing, but a rookie manager like Lampard, who had a very, very short stint, versus someone who's already managed at that level for quite a while. And it shows completely. Some of the players that he's getting juice out of, like bringing Alonso back, Werner scoring, Giroud being involved. You know, he hasn't really utilized Christian Pulisic very much, which is a bit worrying for him, I guess. I think, honestly, and I would venture to say, I don't know much about it, so don't quote me on this, but I would venture to say that maybe he wasn't such a fan. Tommy T wasn't such a fan of the American at Dortmund, and maybe that's why he moved on. And then, you know, life is funny that way, that they just happen to end up in the same place again. I don't know. But back to the main thing, I think they're a team to consider right now, because that's exactly what a team has to do. You know, they have to go on a run of 7, 8, 9 games, picking up points consistently, and then already they're becoming a problem. And at the rate that other teams haven't been doing as well, I think Chelsea are definitely they're definitely on a comeback, or on a come up at least. That's what I have to say about Tuchel and Chelsea right now, I guess.
Yeah, man, I 100% agree with you. The Pulisic thing, that's a good thing to pick up on. And from what I read, I understand. From my understanding, is that Tuchel and Pulisic were very, very close back in the Borussia days. How much of that is true, I don't know. I didn't follow them religiously like that. But Marco, do you think Pulisic can get back into this team, or should he just start venturing, going somewhere else? Maybe going to like a smaller club. Maybe going back to Germany, because ever since Tuchel came in, and you've seen his injury record in the Prem, he's barely even played.
I don't want to jinx the kid, man. I really, really don't want to jinx him. And we've seen it. He's had 2 different. If I'm not mistaken, he's had 2 different managers. And I feel like going to Chelsea was a stretch for him from the beginning. But he's had really good moments in Chelsea. I'm not going to take that away from him. But he also has become a very injury-prone player. I do think that at least a loan out for at least a season, just to figure his shit out, get that extra play time. I think that would be convenient. I think that should be his next step. Don't leave Chelsea, just leave out on loan.
Okay. So, with Abraham, Werner, and Mount all just kind of being on fire right now, I don't see him getting into that lineup anytime soon. Chelsea are back at it. Kepa is even in the lineup. That's how you
got a clean sheet out of Kepa, guys.
Bro,
you got a clean sheet out of Kepa, and Werner scoring in the same match.
This guy is producing magic. He is. I'm scared. I'm terrified. So now that puts Chelsea in the top 4. So we'll see how long that continues. We'll see if it's a new manager bounce. You know how every team usually has like the little bounce back. We'll see how long this continues. Hopefully, it doesn't continue too much longer, because if they continue this form, man, it's gonna be hard to beat them for any team, even Man City. Do they play again? They do, right?
Yeah. They still have to play. Yeah.
But yeah, that's Chelsea 2, Newcastle 0. West Ham, Sheffield United 3-0. That put West Ham in top 5 now, above Liverpool.
Yeah,
with that result,
above Liverpool. That's the headline.
That's the headline for West Ham. It is what it is, you know.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, man. This season is intense, man. Even though there's no fans, and it sucks that there's no fans, the premise doing what it always does best, and just gives us a entertaining, dramatic, full pack season. So that's awesome. Everton 0, Fulham 2. Damn, I was not expecting this result, guys. Pretty upset knowing that James was playing this game, because after having such a good performance last time, to come over to this game, which is a game they should have won, they lose 2-0 to Fulham.
Did either of you guys get a chance to watch this game? Did you see any highlights or anything?
I was listening to it, but I didn't get to watch it.
I saw bits and pieces of it.
I watched the majority, And I gotta say, Fulham found. I watched the majority, and I gotta say, Fulham found the way to frustrate James, and I think they targeted the shit out of him. Unfortunately, James has this thing, and even the commentators picked up on it, that he has a very short fuse if you keep fouling him. Like, he doesn't like that. I don't know why. I don't know why that happens to be a trigger. Maybe he thinks he deserves to not be touched or fouled. I feel the same way. Whoever touches James is probably gonna get shanked or something. But he started. I think he tried to throw an elbow at Decordova Reed or something like that, and I think Carleto, like, Ancelotti saw that and he was like, nah, no more. He couldn't risk having James on the field. And then once James came off, it was even worse. Fulham were completely all over that, like, shambolic defense. Awful defense. I think it also doesn't help that Pickford hasn't started, and they have the backup goalie in Olsen. But definitely I would give full credit to Fulham for that, because they were all over them, making crazy runs. They were constantly going on attacks, 3-on-4, 3-on-2. And those players look, man, even the new guy, I think his name is Maja, 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 the new signing, with 2 goals.
He scored a goal, yeah.
Yeah, he scored a brace.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say. I think Everton have a lot more, definitely more problems to sort out, because with Calvert-Lewin now, their attack didn't look anything threatening. Richarlison, I don't know what happened to him. It's something that we've probably brought up already in the past, but my ultimate take on this is full credit to Fulham, and definitely Everton are missing their players, performing well.
Well, let's not focus too much on this result for Everton, because I feel like their biggest headline of the season right now, at this very moment, is being 3 points behind Liverpool with 2 games in hand.
Right.
The next game, if I'm not mistaken, I think the next game is against Liverpool.
Yeah, it's the Merseyside derby on Saturday.
It is, right?
Well, technically they have their Wednesday game against City, but then
yes.
So this weekend, this derby is set up to be probably the biggest game of Everton's club history. If they can, I'm going to be a little bit sarcastic, but in recent history, to not only beat Liverpool but allow them to at least tie them on points, possibly jump them on the table, depending on the other results. So Everton still have a lot to fight for. Its top 4 is obviously still in the conversation for them, but I think jumping Liverpool and kicking them out of the Champions League spot would be the ultimate rubbing salt on the wound for all Liverpool fans out there. And we'll get into that game, of course, a little bit later. Next game we have here in the docket is Arsenal 4, Leeds United 2. Now, Marco.
What's up?
I see you. I'm loving that jersey, my man. Looks clean. How, obviously, you, myself, and one of our good friends, Dimitri, who's also a fellow gunner, have a little chat on game days that we usually like to chime in. And I know picking on lineups isn't the most popular thing to do, because it's so easy to pick and choose, like, find things that you don't like. But you weren't too fond of the Odegaard Emile Smith Rowe, correct?
I said I liked that. I was nervous about it because I hadn't seen it yet. But I also felt bad for Pepe for letting him on the bench after he's been performing pretty well in the past couple games. So that's what threw me off. And the fact that Obama just started out of the blue when he has been subbing in. I mean, it was a big gamble, but we know the results, so we know that the gamble worked out.
That's true, man. Because I feel like a lot of especially those Arsenal fans that don't trust Arteta came out here like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Starting XYZ, Lacazette's not playing, Pepe's on fire. Why are you benching him? And not only that, you bring in Willian. But then the result is 4-2. And yeah, granted, the second half was a little shaky. First half, we completely dominated. Aubameyang with a hat-trick. First Premier League hat-trick at that, too. So, not talk too much about the game specifically, but I think when you see this Arsenal team play the way they did, especially this first half, that is more of Arteta's Arsenal that we're going to see in the coming years. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's going to be there for a while. And the way, I don't know if you saw the Saka running down through the middle through 100 players and then passing it back to Ceballos to nutmeg somebody. I think that is classic Arteta ball, just in the line, sneaky. And I think this is going to be a scary team to come up against. I of course I'm being biased right now, but I think there is something to hold on to here. Even though we have been very inconsistent, that's obviously the biggest fault of ours is being extremely inconsistent. But so have a lot of other clubs. There's a reason why we're still 6 points behind Liverpool right now. These guys are supposed to be the title contenders, and we're 6 points behind them. But that doesn't take away the fact that Arsenal are very inconsistent. Thomas Partey out, Tierney out. Yep, still look pretty solid. Again, shaky second half. Happy with the result. Next, we do have some pretty hard fixtures coming up next, if I'm not mistaken.
Man City's our next game.
Yeah, and we have Benfica for Europa.
And Benfica for Europa.
And then we have Leicester again after the Benfica matches up. So we have a rough couple of games coming up, but I think this is gonna be the ultimate test for Arteta and Arsenal to see if we can keep this consistency, to see if Aubameyang can keep this top form, to see if Odegaard is really built for the Premier League, and if Saka is the next big thing for us, like we expect him to be. There's a lot of big ifs coming up, and I think these next weeks are going to be answering a lot of those questions. But I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm confident, and I think any Arsenal fan out there can see the progress we're making. And although it hasn't been the prettiest, it's coming.
Yeah. And if they don't, then they're fucking blind.
Yeah, it is what it is. But speaking of inconsistencies,
segue.
West Brom and United, after being considered title challengers, United, because you guys still are, but you guys were top of the table. Ever since like you guys reached that top of the mountain, it just been like 3 games of draws?
2 games.
2 game draws. What is it with what changed? What changed? You guys are just so dominant, man. The United were just so scary on all fronts. Luke Shaw became Roberto Carlos ever since Teles joined.
Right.
Pogba turned into Juventus Pogba.
For a minute.
For a minute. The only person who remains the same is Martial, who just misses a goal and then just like I just walks it off. But aside from that, everybody was just been killing it. What changed?
I think the last 2 results, which are the draw to West Brom and then that loss to Sheffield, which are the bottom and second place bottom teams respectively. I think it doesn't highlight what has changed. I think it highlights what hasn't, which is the shaky defense. I think it highlights that the center back pairing that we have with Lindelof and Maguire just isn't working. I think that's the key to solving the rest of what's happening with the team. I'm not saying that either or isn't good. I'm saying that together, they don't complement each other like how Bailly complements Maguire. I make fun of Bailly a lot in a lighthearted way because he's one crazy motherfucker. He goes in for tackles. He throws his body. He makes ridiculous freaking decisions to start dribbling inside of our own box. But he's proactive about it. And that lets the other defenders sit back because we all know that Maguire isn't the fastest nor the most nimble type of defender or player for that matter. I think if that defense were sorted, 4 matches this season that we've lost, and I think 2 of those were draws that, again, the last minute we got equalized. Against Leicester City, the last 5 minutes equalized 2-2. Against Everton, the very last minute we equalized 3-3. Those are points that we should have had. And yes, we can outscore them or whatever, but I've said it before, and I mentioned in the chat too about defenses being what wins you titles. City haven't had the goal scoring route that they've done for previous seasons. They've won a few games 1-0, and they've just shut out teams 2-0, 1-0, get the job done, not conceding. Look at where they're at. They're at the very top. It doesn't matter if you can batter teams, 7-2, 9-0, 8-2, 6-1, whatever. If you don't keep the goals out, you're not going to go anywhere. So I think that really shows why we're second. And we're I think it's 7 or 8 points off of City, tied on points with Leicester now. it doesn't. It definitely doesn't help that we're conceding these silly goals, and most of the time, they are silly goals. The Sheffield United silly defending, West Brom silly defending. They're goals that teams shouldn't concede, and I think once that gets sorted out, I think it'll solve a lot of the problems. Right now, it also goes to show, and I want to say this now. I don't want to put it out there like as negative energy, but we're so reliant on Bruno, and we're so reliant on how good he is. That's a problem for any club, because we're lucky that fool. I don't know if he's made of rubber or whatever, but apparently he recovers well, and you know how a player can like ride injuries, so to speak, like they know how to anticipate getting hit. He's very good at that naturally, but you never know. One injury to that guy, and we've seen it in a few matches where he's been rested. He has to come in order to get the result. So as a team, it's just not there. I would love to say that we're a good team, but we're not a serious one as far as challenging for the title right now. So, I got to take it as it is. That's the reality. They're second right now. They've done well. They have a good record, 4 losses, first to 50 goals. I think it shows everything. It shows everything. They've been scoring, but they don't know how to hold on to those leads. So we have, unfortunately, 2 hard matches coming up. I think we also play Arsenal soon. And we also play Chelsea and City back to back. So that's I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow get a result out of those matches. I don't expect them to, because we didn't win any of the matches against the Big Six earlier in the season. I think we have like 4 draws, a loss, and four draws and 2 losses. That's it. So I don't know. Right now I'm just it's definitely up and down. It's definitely inconsistent, but I still think that once they address the defensive problems, it'll change the team up for sure.
To your point, Bruno, man, I don't want to like say he is Messi, but he kind of is like Messi if you think about it, because Messi, when he's not in the Barcelona squad, you see what happens.
No, for real.
Just like
I've
Bruno.
made that. I made that connection, definitely.
And I mean, look, I'm not in any way trying to troll, but Bruno is just so good. I hate that I like him. I hate myself that I like him.
I mean, just for a different comparison, we can compare it to like Obama last year. That Diego here would most of the time would come out and say Obama is literally carrying you guys.
100%.
And we learned the hard way that when Obama's not there, we don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And it's been really hard to figure shit out when Obama has not been hitting his mark, which he hasn't been. He just lately started to. This is the first time he scored in a while. Yeah. It's one game, but he at least did something. But we were able to figure something out without Obama. That's something that you guys haven't figured out yet. When Fernandes is not on the field, you guys kind of like, I don't want to say shit, but you can't figure. You're not there. And let's hope that he doesn't get one bad hit that would bench him for a couple of days.
Yeah. It's definitely not good enough for sure.
So I mean, I don't think there's any headhunters out there in the league anymore. I'm sure there is a couple of them, but anybody who wants to take out Bruno and ready over, be careful, man. Be careful, Bruno.
Chill.
It existed, bro. It existed. Players getting paid to enjoy the players. 100% it existed. But I'm kidding. But no, just to kind of summarize that game, 1-1 West Brom to United. Bruno was the one that scored the goal for you guys, of course, right? If I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
So again, goes to show he's so important. Other game we have here, Southampton losing to Wolves 2-1. I think Neto got a goal in this game, right? He's been on fire recently.
Yeah, he scored the winning goal. Yeah.
So, did he? Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, 60. Yeah, he's been on fire, man. So good job on Neto. Wolves taking that win. Brighton and Aston Villa, 0-0. Aston Villa should be winning these games if they want to be, challenging for those top 4 spots. After beating big teams, they should definitely be winning this game. Come on, let's be realistic. But
yeah, I think so too, man. Especially with a keeper like Emi Martinez, who I think he pulled out 9 saves that game, 8 or 9 saves, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, I think If I'm not mistaken, he right now he is the highest scoring player on fantasy, highest scoring goalkeeper, on fantasy. He's on track to break the record for goalkeeper points in fantasy. And it all is due to literally his saves and his performances. So they have that sorted out. And it's crazy how I think for Villa fans, I would dare to say that they would probably have the opinion where they operate the opposite. They do so well against big teams, and then against lower table teams, they just can't get the results.
It's crazy. But were you on when we were talking about the goalkeeper situation? I don't know if you were on that day. I was just talking about how a lot of Arsenal people have been saying, "Oh, we should have kept."
Oh yeah.
And I was I kind of didn't like that comment, but then looking at the stats, man, it's kind of hard not to, I guess, agree with it or understand that point of view. And just for those of anybody who didn't hear last time, I think Emi Martinez. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I believe he has the second most clean sheets right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, second to Ederson.
And then when it comes to saves, I think he's top 5 saves across the league at the moment.
Yes.
And that just goes to show that it's not only his defense putting in the work in front of him, he's making the fucking saves.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He is making the saves.
Definitely is.
Martinez, again, I love you. My hat off to you. I know you never hear this, but best of luck to you, and I hope you get into Argentina. Come back to Arsenal. The next game we have is Man City versus Tottenham. 3-0. Mourinho. Spurs literally got the Mourinho trifecta in a year.
I mentioned it on last recording with Diego. I'm like, to quote Erik, because you were the one that said it, like, Mourinho is already in his second phase and just in his first year at Spurs. It's when everybody hates him.
Yeah, dude. And it's nuts to see how
and the trophies.
For most Spurs fans, they would be confident going into this game because Mourinho somehow, in some way, with Spurs, has always found a way to beat City. He's always found a way to beat Pep at his game. And this one, I think they were completely torn up. I think they were torn up.
Mourinho's done. He's done. He has nothing up his sleeve. His disappearance, not disappearance, his hiatus from the game of coaching for a while, that was his giving the world a break from his style of football. Once he came back, brought that style of football back into our lives again, it kind of shook things up a bit because we haven't seen it for so long. But we know what it is. We've seen it for years and years and years and years and years. It's just sit back and defend and go on the count. It's literally the same thing every time. It's because we haven't seen it for so long. It kind of caught everybody off guard, and Harry Kane fit his style of play perfectly. And Heung-min Son, they had a beautiful chemistry. But once you figure it out, which just go back and look at the tapes from like his Real Madrid days, from his United days, from his Chelsea days. It's the same thing. Pep knows that. And not only does Pep know that now, he has a player by the name of Gundogan who has transformed himself into Gundandinho. I don't know. Gunaldo. Something.
Gunaldo, man.
This guy is
Brazilian Gunaldo.
Dude, he is on a different level right now. This guy's killing it, bro. Killing it. What are your thoughts on Gundogan, man? Like, no KDB. We all thought, like, oh shit. That's when I thought United was gonna win it.
Word.
I was like, no
Word.
KDB,
Without
man.
KDB.
See, there's no way they can catch up without KDB. KD who?
KDB who?
KD what? KD Gundogan Black Clot Young. That's all me, by the way, guys. No copyright.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone had said, I forget who said it. Definitely one of the pundits. So it's not an original thought, but it was very true that they were mentioning that for several teams, bringing up Bruno with United, bringing up specifically Harry Kane missing for Spurs and how they were sputtering in the recent results. How for City, they've been the majority of the season without KDB and without Aguero, and they still have several players that are stepping up to score golazos. You have Foden scoring, you have Gundogan stepping up in that.
And you have Rodri with that beautiful, beautiful penalty.
Yeah, right. I hope he doesn't take any more penalties.
Bro, I felt bad for Alisson. He went. I was like, yeah, it's gonna be me. He said it last time. He said it was gonna be me. They're like, nope, sit back. Rodi's taking. He's like, fuck. And then Rodi almost fucking missed that shit. I was dying.
Yeah, he almost missed it.
Ederson walking up. Pep saying that Ederson could be the penalty taker is the equivalent of giving the kid a controller that has a cable on it, but it's not being connected to the console. Like that, poor he was so excited, like nothing's happening. But man, Man City, bro, they're on
a different one, man. They really are.
I say it and I stand by it. Pep is the best league coach, and I'm sticking by that. That's it. Man City 3-0, top of the table with 53 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 53.
53 points, and Spurs dropping from first place. They won the league, guys. Don't forget, back in December. Going all the way, right above Arsenal. 9th place. Yay.
With 36.
A few more games. But yeah, so that's Man City versus Spurs. Next, we have Crystal Palace, Burnley. Crystal Palace 0, Burnley 3. That's another team, Crystal Palace, that without Zaha, they can't do anything. So they got to figure out a solution for that team. And last but not least, unfortunately, we couldn't have our special guest. I'm sure he's busy with his newborn baby, beautiful newborn baby. So we'll let him enjoy that time. Unfortunately, Nick, who I think is a Liverpool fan, ever since they started going downhill, he hasn't shown face. So doesn't seem to be backing his team up too much. Eddie made a glass. I don't know what happened to him either, man. It's been quiet from from that side.
Eric's taking shots.
All this smugness that we got last season,
taking shots.
In the league and Champions League, this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, I'm just saying, it's gone. It can never happen. That's 1 for the record books, by the way.
Has an asterisk next to it. Remember?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man. That's whatever. Well, we'll talk about it here, though. Well, let's enjoy this conversation. Let's enjoy this beautiful result. Leicester 3, Liverpool 1. Man, I don't know where to start with this game. When did Liverpool sign Karius again? Where did Vardy learn those guitar lessons? And what the fuck happened to everybody on Liverpool? What team is that? I do not recognize that team. The only thing I have to say, and I am not upset, but I expected to see more of this player. And I spoke to Edgar about this, how personnel is a big thing for Liverpool, how Thiago has been the biggest disappointment in that team. And Edgar agreed. He completely agrees with that statement. If there were different personnel around that midfield, he could be the best midfielder. But the way that team is set up right now, it's just disastrous everywhere in the pitch. It's just not consistent. Klopp, I think, has run out of ideas. It's because he ran out of players. What do you guys think about this current Liverpool side that we're enjoying, I guess you could say?
I don't know, man. I do think he ran out of players. So he hasn't been able to figure that shit out, man. He had the window to bring in some defenders, and he didn't take advantage of it. But where are they? Hendo's still playing as a defense.
No, the one got karate kicked by Alisson in the middle of the game.
Oh, that is true.
And the other one,
the other one's injured already too.
Yeah.
So
the first one they signed from the championship team, he's injured.
Okay, so there wasn't Real Madrid then, because all they do is have injuries, bro. And like their biggest problem is Hendo being back there, and for some reason they're unable to take Hendo out of the back
because they have no defenders.
But Hendo's also not gonna do the job, and we're seeing it.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Like that's what we're talking about. Like
at this point,
out of ideas or he had the players? Because who else do they put back there?
At this point,
I don't know their team that well enough. I don't.
I don't either,
bro. You know what?
Because
blame the young kids, bro. You have 2 Williams there. Put them both back there. Nico Williams and I can't remember the other one.
And Reece Williams.
There you go. Put them both back there. If the whole season goes to shit, well, man, they were young, they didn't have much experience. But you're putting experienced players, and then you're playing with your thumbs and trying to blame the world because of the situation that you're going through. I mean, I'd say blame the kids, and then they learn from it.
Damn. That explains a lot
right.
as to why Benitez sucks. And Real Madrid are going to
where's shit, bro? Where's shit show over there too?
Don just throwing all the kids out. I blame the kids.
Yeah, blame the kids, bro. Bro, we don't. I mean, I don't want to go jump leagues, so we'll just leave it at that.
Marco's man management 101. Just throw the kids on there.
Just throw the kids in there, bro. Blame them.
Diego. Sorry. How are you enjoying this, man? We went from
bro. I am. I'm enjoying it, bro. I am because. Here's the thing. I think they're not subject to a unique situation. Every club can have injuries. Every club, and it definitely is. I'm not saying that it's easy to figure that out, but that's not my job. That's Klopp's job. I don't know if maybe even changing up, utilizing a different formation to put maybe a few more players near the back line, just so that they can bolster what few defenders they actually have. I don't know. But the thing is that it's not a unique situation. Everyone has gone through injuries. And there have been teams that have gone through several injuries for greater parts of the season. Right now, there are teams, we literally talked about one where City has key personnel out. A team that is also suffering from injuries. I know it's very different, and I can't equate losing 2 players to an entire back line. But, that's the way the game goes. And if they... I don't know if it's maybe a reluctancy to adapt or an ability to adapt, but I feel like the current system that Liverpool is used to playing with, like, it's not even benefiting the forwards. Like, we saw Salah for the first time, the second time in his Liverpool career, he went 6 or 7 games without a goal contribution or something like that. And it's dried up. And it could be, yes, definitely a byproduct of them not having a reliable defense, but you can still let goals in and maybe hit them back, for 2 or 3. You can still do that. It's just not working for them. And right now, to have Liverpool, at least temporarily, because, I think at some point, maybe their luck is going to turn. I don't know. I'm not predicting that. I definitely don't wish that. But if they are to come back, the rest of the teams, they're going to enjoy it and they're going to take advantage. That's why we have West Ham above them currently. That's why we have all these other teams that are Everton that are about to leapfrog them. I think the other teams have to just take advantage of the fact that they're struggling a bit. And that's it. They scored first. We have to keep that in mind. They scored first against Leicester City. And definitely, I think Liverpool are a team, which we talked about it last season on this same pod, how they were able to grind out results. Like, they have that in them. As title... holders, as champions, they have that in them to grind out the result. If they're unable to do that and still get smacked for 2 more goals off of errors, like, I think that just shows that, I don't know, there's something more there that maybe the players aren't letting off.
I don't want to go too much further time. We're past the 30-minute mark, but I just want to end it on the Alisson. You brought it up, the errors are made. Alisson, that's what, 2 games now back to back where he's had some. There's 3 errors into goal.
He has more errors than Kepa right now. And Kepa was clowned.
Yes, that's my point. Thank you for saying that, because that's where I was going. If this was Karius, this was Kepa.
Karius was 1 game.
Karius was 1 game.
Was 1 game. Yes, it was a final, but it was 1 game.
And
he got shitted on.
He got exiled.
Yeah.
I witnessed Liverpool fans booing. Yeah, witnessed Liverpool fans booing Karius. Alisson just literally tossed you the entire Premier League season away at this point with those 3 huge errors. What are your guys' thoughts? Are we babying him too much? Not us here, but I feel like the journalists, the pundits, they're not as critical as they are with Liverpool as they are with every other club. And this might be my bias talking right now, but I feel like when it comes to Liverpool, they just baby him a lot.
And I mean, I've seen several people come to defend him, saying like, yeah, last season he won the Champions League and he won the league, and they have the Club World Cup, and they have the international, and it's like you had to start that by saying last season. Like, that's not applicable right now. Yes, it's definitely in his trophy cabinet, and it shows what he can do. But this is what he's doing. He is in a poor run of form. And I think mentally, I don't know if maybe the fact that he doesn't have reliable center backs in front of him, that he's trying too much. Because it literally looked like he was trying too much. That pass that he gave right up to City, it looks like he was just overthinking it. The same thing right now. He didn't trust, what's his name, Kabak, to handle the ball. He went for it, and he ended up taking out his own defender. I think it's definitely gotten to his head. And of course, what people don't realize is that now he is worse off than the one goalie that was the worst this season, which is Kepa. You know, the two errors that he had directly leading to goals, and now Alisson has 3. It's like I can definitely see it. I can see it. I think they yes, he has merit because of what he's achieved, but that shouldn't like, you know, sugarcoat it, because there are plenty of other players. You know, David Luiz gets it, Leno got it, De Gea got it, Maguire gets it. You know, there are several other players that get clowns for their mistakes.
100%.
You know, fun, and it's, you know, rightly so. Rival fans, they're gonna jump on that. But I think Alisson too, like, dude, like, and it's against these big teams. That's the worst part. It's against big teams, and so more people are watching that. And I don't know. I don't get it. I definitely see it like that. I definitely do.
I agree with you, man. That's how the turntable. With that being said, man, that's all we got for today. Champions League, Europa League action is back. So make sure you stay tuned for those results, and we'll see if we do anything for that going forward. But as always, we are the BenchWarmers, the bench with the voice. For the bench is always warm. Peace.